Hey everybody, it's Barbara and it's time for another Motivational Monday, another great tip to help move you towards your health goals. Today I'm going to be talking to you about sugar alternatives, but before I do, let me just say quickly, if you have a sweet tooth, if your preferences lie in eating sweet things, the ultimate goal is to eat less of those things across the board. So whether they come from real sugar, artificial sweeteners, or sugar alternatives, start to curtail your intake in general to help move you closer to your health goals. That being said, there's a lot of great sugar alternatives out there that are not bad for you the way artificial sweeteners are and don't promote your glycemic response the way table sugar does, and we're going to go through them today. The first one I want to talk to you about is xylitol. Xylitol is a sugar alcohol that's often extracted from berries, mushrooms, and this particular brand uses corn husks, which is not the same thing as corn kernels, which is how they make high fructose corn syrup. This is corn husks. And sugar alcohols have less of a glycemic response in your body, so they don't spike your blood sugar or your insulin levels because they're not as well absorbed by the intestines as regular sugar. And xylitol has 1/3 of the calories of regular sugar, so that's great. It's appropriate for diabetics because it doesn't have that big insulin response, so that's terrific if you're a diabetic. And it can be used in cooking, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio in your baking with xylitol as compared to sugar. So if a recipe calls for a cup, you would use a cup of xylitol. That being said, xylitol can absorb a lot of fluids from your recipe, so you would have to adjust your liquids accordingly. But it is a good alternative to regular sugar. The one side effect of xylitol is that it can loosen bowel function, so it can cause diarrhea, but that is a dose-dependent response. If you have a lot of this, if you're using it in all your beverages and you're using it in all your baking, then yeah, the more you use, the more likely that is to happen. If you're just using it once in a while just to sweeten your tea or your coffee, it should not be a problem. However, if you tend towards a loose bowel function, this may not be the ideal product for you, but this is certainly one that you could use that's healthy and fine for you, so xylitol is number one. The next one is stevia. So stevia is a plant-based sweetener that comes from a plant from South America, and it comes in either powder form or in liquid form. Stevia has properties that have been shown to help lower blood pressure and blood sugar levels, so that's really good. It has a negligible amount of carbohydrate in it, therefore it has basically no insulin response, making it appropriate for diabetics and people on a low carbohydrate diet. The one aspect of stevia that I would say is that it's 300 times sweeter than table sugar. So that's quite sweet, and it's going to create an overt taste preference if you use it too often. So again, artificial sweeteners, which this is not, right? Things like Splenda and Sweet and Low, those things are like 600 or 700 times sweeter, and you will find if you use them, you might want more sugar after you've consumed them. Because stevia is 300 times sweeter than sugar, it might also have that impact of making you want more sweet things over the course of the day. So if you have a sweet tooth and you're concerned about spiking your desire to have sugar, this may not be the best alternative for you. That being said, if you're would use this negligibly and you don't need to have a lot of sugar in your diet, this might be perfect for you, especially if you're on a low carbohydrate diet. You can use stevia in your baking, but because it's so much sweeter, the ratio is different. You would need just 1 teaspoon of stevia to equal 1 cup of sugar in your recipe. So just 1 teaspoon of stevia to 1 cup of sugar. So it's really, really sweet, and you would have to adjust the recipe accordingly. So stevia would be number 2. The next one is coconut palm sugar. So coconut palm sugar is made from the sap of cut flower buds of the coconut palm. This is quite sweet, so it tastes like regular brown sugar with a hint of caramel, so it's got a nice, lovely flavor to it. It also has a low glycemic response, so it's better than table sugar for diabetics or people that are trying to manage their weight. Not quite as good as xylitol, let's say, and definitely not as good as stevia in the glycemic response, but it's more closely related and tastes like sugar with less of a glycemic response, so that makes it great. Another thing that I love about coconut palm sugar is that it has lots of minerals. So it's a good source of potassium, magnesium, zinc, and iron, and it's also a good source of B vitamins. Additionally, the sap from which this coconut sugar is made is high in amino acids, primarily glutamine, and glutamine is an amino acid that is wonderful for your body and has many health benefits across the board. Also, you can use this in a 1-to-1 ratio when baking, so this makes it a good alternative to table sugar when you are cooking. And then option number 4, dates. So dates are a natural food. You can easily use a date and put it in your smoothie. So put it right in the blender, and the blender will mush it up and make your smoothie sweet. So that's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is that you can drop a date in a glass of warm water or room temperature water and let it sit for a couple of hours. The sweetness of the date will seep into the water, and then that water can be used as part of your baking, or you could use it to make your tea or your coffee to give it a natural and subtle sweetness. You can also get date sugar in a bag. So basically they take dates and dehydrate them and then make them into granules, and you can use that as an alternative. But they do have a distinct sort of date molasses quality to them, so they will alter your recipe somewhat, but that's another natural alternative that you can use instead of real sugar. And lastly, I wanted to make mention about agave nectar, because a lot's been said and a lot's been written about agave, and it's often used in natural food products as an alternative to sugar. So agave comes from a cactus. It is a plant-based sweetener. It has a slightly less of a glycemic response than sugar, but it's 90% fructose. So fructose has been shown to spike your triglyceride levels, spike your blood sugar, and these are not ideal things that you want to happen in your body, because it can affect your cholesterol level and your health overall. So it is 90% fructose, so you don't want too much of this in your diet. Now that being said, if you're trying to move away from table sugar and these other alternatives seem a little bit exotic and far out for you, then you might want the next step to be something like agave nectar, using it in smaller quantities and then maybe experimenting with the others as you go along. Not ideal, not the best choice as a sugar alternative, but certainly a slightly better choice than table sugar. So I just wanted to make a mention of that, because I often get questions about it and I wanted you to have that information. So there you have a bunch of alternatives to sugar that you can start incorporating into your life to help move you towards your health goals in a sustainable way. So I want to hear from you. What do you think? Have you ever tried to give up sugar? Have you ever tried to reduce sugar or use any of these sugar alternatives as a way to help move you away from table sugar and control your cravings? If so, I want to hear from you. If you prefer one of these alternatives to the other, I want to hear why. What do you love about it? How do you use it in your life? How do you use it in your cooking? Let us know, because the more you share with us, the more we can share with everybody that watches our videos, and everybody can learn from your experience. So definitely comment below. If you like videos like this and you're looking for more information on how to incorporate healthy and sustainable practices into your life to move you towards your health goals, then check out my blog at rootsandseeds.com, and you can sign up to my email list there, and you'll automatically get a video every Monday with either a recipe or some nutritional tip to help move you towards your health goals. If you want to know more about me or my nutrition practice, then check out my website at barbaramendeznutrition.com. You can follow me on Facebook or Twitter, but whatever you do, definitely keep in touch. I want to hear from you, and I want to see how all this stuff is helping you move towards your health goals. Thanks so much. Have an awesome Monday and a great week, and I'll see you next time.